Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video in Azure Data Factory playlist. So today we are going to learn about how you can able to connect your on-prem SQL Server and you can able to move your data from your on-prem SQL Server to any other sources using the Azure Data Factory copy data activity. So let me walk through the use case that we are going to perform. So I have an on-prem SQL Server installed in my system. So we are going to use the on-prem SQL Server as a source, and we are going to take the data from my on-prem SQL Server, and we are going to use the copy data activity in Azure Data Factory to copy our data from on-prem SQL Server, and we are going to move it to ADLS Gen2 account. This is a storage account that we have purchased in Azure Portal. So we are going to use the existing account in this scenario, and we are going to use the Windows authentication to authenticate our on-prem SQL Server. So let us get into the Azure Data Factory and start our live demonstration. Now we are inside the Azure Data Factory portal. So let us get into the author tab where we can able to create the pipelines and datasets. So let me drop down this pipelines. So let me create a new subfolder in this pipelines. So creating folders will helps you manage your pipelines accordingly. So let me name this as SQL Server. So we are going to put all the SQL Server pipelines under this folder. So let me click on create. So under this folder I am going to create the pipeline. Let me click on the three dot and let me click on new pipeline. So let me rename this pipeline underscore SQL Server using the Windows authentication. So I have provided the name for my pipeline. So you can move the copy data activity into the canvas, which we are going to use to perform the copy. So in this, let me provide a name for this copy data from SQL to ADLS. So let me provide the source connection. So to connect to our on-prem SQL Server, we need to create a dataset and a link to service pointing to our particular data source. So let me click on new. So this will list all the sources. You can just search for the SQL Server. So you can find the SQL Server which is referring to the on-prem SQL Server. Here let me provide the name for my dataset underscore SQL Windows. So let me create a new link service to connect to my on-prem SQL Server. So let me rename this link to service. Let me provide us link to service SQL Windows. So once you have provided the name for your link to service, you need to verify you are using the self-hosted integration runtime to connect your on-prem SQL services. So to connect to on-prem services, we need this self-hosted integration runtime. So you need to check the integration runtime is installed in your machine and configured and running it is in a running state. So I have provided a separate video how you can able to download the self-hosted integration runtime and configure in your machine. So let me provide the video in the description, so you can watch that to configure the self-hosted integration runtime for your system. So once you have selected the self-hosted integration runtime, you can provide the server name, database name, and in this authentication type we are going to provide Windows authentication, and then you need to provide the username and password. So I have the server name, so let me copy this. So here let me provide the server name, and here let me provide the database name. So we can provide the username and the password. So once you have provided the server name, database name, and the username and password, you need to verify the encryption type. So by default it is in mandatory. So if you have the SSL certificate enabled for your SQL Server, so you can able to take this as a mandatory, or else you can just click on optional. So once you have provided this, you can just click on test connection. So now the connection is successful. Let me click on create. So we have created a linked service which is connected to our on-prem SQL Server. So once I have provided that server name and database name, it will list all the tables available under my database. So I have an employee table available inside my database. Let me click on this and click on OK. So we are going to take this employee table from our on-prem SQL Server and we are going to move it to ADLS Gen2 account as CSV files. So we have configured the source linked service and the dataset. So let us create a dataset and linked service for our destination. So let me click on the destination and click on new dataset. So let me search for the Azure ADLS Gen2. Let me click on this and click on continue. I want the file as CSV file. So let me click on continue. So let me provide the dataset name as dataset employee SQL Server. So let me select an existing linked service which is pointing to my Azure ADLS Gen2. So let me click on this edit. So in this linked service, I have provided the endpoint and the access key of my storage account. So in this, let me click on browse under the sample container. Inside this output directory, I am going to place the file. So let me provide the name of the file as employee.csv. So let me check this first row header, and currently the file is not available in this path. So we are going to create this. So let me click on none and click on OK. So now we have created source and destination dataset for our SQL Server. So let me click on validate. So there is no validation error. So we can just click on debug. So now the pipeline is successful. Let me click on this explore button. So here we have moved a table from our SQL Server to CSV file as in our ADLS Gen2 account. So I hope you have understood how you can able to move your tables from on-prem SQL Server to Azure ADLS Gen2 as CSV files. So please subscribe to the channel and watch all the videos in this PDF playlist. Thank you for watching.